Is it okay to talk about childhood traumas without being called an unoriginal hack? Probably not, but this topic has fascinated me for a long while, so I thought I'd talk about the topic a bit myself and add my own 2 cents on it. This originally started with Your Movie Sucks, so I recommend checking out his playlist on this whole topic as a whole. I won't be going in any specific order, so let's go. Let's talk about the Super Mario Bros. Franchise for a little bit. I wasn't scared all that much by the piano. Yoshi's story made an impact on my childhood with shit like this. However, the Wario Land commercials are some of the most terrifying memories I've ever had or associated with the Mario Bros. Franchise. Seeing Wario constantly stare at you throughout the entirety of the commercial, giving me the impression he's gonna pop his head right out of the TV just to laugh in my face. Whether it be him trying to hypnotize the audience,
Destroy Mario! Don't fall under Wario's evil spell in Super Mario Land 2!
Showing off his fetish for bombs,
I love you! I love you!
or giving Jack Nicholson a run for his money.
Wait till they get a load of me!
These commercials always freaked me out. Next up is a little strange. You ever play the Rayman games on the Game Boy Color? Well, Rayman on the Game Boy Color always had me frightened to play because of the soundtrack. Yeah, I know, it sounds bizarre, but hear me out. The first game has a lighthearted tone. The second game has a more dark and atmospheric tone, but it's established at the very beginning of the game. The Game Boy Color game is trying to be like the first Rayman, and the soundtrack can't make up its mind. Something about the soundtrack always made me fearful of playing it. The high pitches and mix of certain themes from Rayman 2 in this version, mixed with the original Rayman environments and settings, makes the very idea of listening to this game with headphones an absolute nightmare. Funny enough, I'm not the only one who thinks about this. Plenty of people share my same thoughts on this game's soundtrack. Next up we got Rikki Tikki Tavi. He did a very unique take on the adaptations of 3 stories based on the Jungle Book, Rikki Tikki Tavi being one of my personal favorites. There's a rather intense scene in this short, though, involving Ricky silently planning his attack on one of the antagonists, Nag. This isn't scary in the traditional sense, but it's one of those feelings of absolute dread and anticipation of the attack. It's very quiet, and once Ricky goes for the attack, suddenly gunfire ends it all. This is more the thought of this happening in one's own house that terrifies me, honestly. Hearing a gunshot in the middle of the night while 2 animals are fighting one another, one of which being a very, very dangerous type of snake, keeps you up at night. At least it did for me a little. Next up are specific episodes from 2 cartoons, Filet of Soul from Dexter's Lab and Operation Ghost from Codename Kids Next Door. These episodes are similar in their own ways, but both have a surprising amount of effort in creating this spooky atmosphere. When you're a kid watching this in the dark, it's a little unsettling, not gonna lie. Giant tentacle of some dead creature dragging down one of your siblings into the toilet, being possessed, getting dragged into a burial by the ghost of dead hamsters, fun times not wanting to go to the bathroom at night. No worries, I'll just hold it in. Out of the 2, I'd say Filet of Soul scared me more, because Operation Ghost's later half is, well, silly. Regardless, both episodes are still funny and they have their spooky charm. Classic TV. Now for the big one that generally gave me nightmares. I wanted to make this video with a certain goal in mind. Not just to make this video for the fun of it, but to also see if there are others that share my exact feelings and thoughts on this topic. It's time to talk about good old Disney. This isn't very surprising since Disney has shown many frightening things in their movies. Disney can be associated with some of the earliest memories a child can have. I know according to my family, I've had various Disney-related baby stuff, and I grew up watching a large chunk of their movies in the 90s. Only one movie in their library gave me reoccurring nightmares, and if you aren't blind and saw the thumbnail for this video, it's the Cave of Wonders from Aladdin. It's one thing to have nightmares from obscure movies or shows, but in my case, this isn't obscure. This is a very well-known movie, and every time I bring up the fact that this movie traumatized me, people always respond with,
"Whoa, what?"
I was born in the year 1992. The VHS release of Aladdin was in 1993. Again, I don't remember when I saw the movie, but let's say I saw this movie between the ages of 1 to 4 years old. Why did the Cave of Wonders scare me? Well, given I saw this movie at a very young age, my mind was still in its early stages of developing. What I saw was something I couldn't necessarily comprehend. The massive size of the cave itself and having these bright, glowing eyes was enough to intimidate me. But what really did it was hearing the voice for the first time.
Disturbs my slumber.
This is the type of voice to make a baby cry in an instant. Which it certainly did in my case. Oh great, the cave also eats the thief. Cut to Aladdin running about with some bread. Haha, no death here guys, it's all good. This was in a G-rated movie.
Why?
Now, seeing the cave for the first time kept me incredibly tense. But I could get past it okay. It's the visit back to the cave that left the impression. Aladdin is told not to touch anything. They go inside, find a carpet, and continue onward. Various signs of what happens gave me tons of nightmare fuel, from this creepy statue, hearing the cave get incredibly angry and telling the protagonist they're going to die.
Now you will never again see the light of day.
Suddenly water turning into lava, then lava tsunami. Oh look, how about some fire hands wanting to grab our heroes and drag them down into the fiery abyss? Oh look, we're about to get stabbed. Stuff like that. Combined with the fast-paced visuals of the escape and the musical score by Alan Menken, and you have some good old-fashioned childhood trauma that's been permanently burned into my brain. Of course, this stuff doesn't scare me now, and if anything, the scenes with the Cave of Wonders are my favorite parts of the movie. Stuff like this makes you appreciate those little moments of fear and look at it in a different perspective. I appreciate you all for watching this video and listening to me ramble about stuff that frightened me as a child. Comment and all that jazz if you like, you know, yada yada yada. Bye.